Kansas City has a landmark barbecue restaurant in a most unlikely place.
It's the place to take anyone who's visiting Kansas City. This is it.
It has to have good barbecue because in a gas station, you have to have something. You'll notice it's packed all the time.
To me, this is the best barbecue I've ever had, so really good.
The genius behind the barbecue is Jeff Staney. His teams have won more than 300 awards in competition barbecue, including 25 different championships in state, national, and international competition, as well as grand champion of the prestigious Jack Daniel's World Championships.
We tend to cook everything. Across the barbecue landscape, everyone does pork ribs, but not everyone cooks the pork shoulder. Here in Kansas City, we do the pork shoulder, we do the brisket, we do the pork ribs, we do the chicken, you know, we'll do sausage, and so we do a little bit of everything, and that's a definite difference in Kansas City as opposed to other regions.
Today, we get the lowdown on Championship Kansas City barbecue, plus a couple of intriguing specialty dishes. Staney's personal cookers are Horizon brand, heavy gauge steel with offset firebox for backyard and competition.
What happens is we build the fire here, and then the smoke and the heat travel up through the cooking chamber and then exhaust out of the smokestack. I prefer using charcoal briquettes for barbecue smoking. The real high quality briquettes will burn real clean. Just like at home, you're going to want to stack it up into a pyramid. That allows the air that's underneath to kind of catch the charcoal and let it get going a little bit better. Also, if we keep a nice small tight pyramid, we don't have to put quite as much lighter fluid on it. Like 99% of the other people in the country do, I use lighter fluid. The trick is building large fires, larger fires than you probably think you're going to need in that cooker, and then limiting the amount of air that's in there. We're going to let this fire burn about an hour before we ever start cooking, so any of the residual odor from the lighter fluid is going to be gone within that hour.
Staney's preparing his signature championship beef brisket.
There's two different types of briskets. And what we're cooking today, and what I always cook in competition, are what are called whole briskets. The whole briskets have quite a bit of fat on them, so what I want to do in competition is I want to trim as much fat as I can off. I want to leave enough surface fat so that fat seasons the meat and flavors the meat with the fat and the moisture that's going to come out of the fat. But some of this fat cap right in here might be a couple of inches thick, and we don't want to just season the fat and cook the fat because we're going to have to trim that off when we're done. I like to buy good quality briskets. I don't think it's necessary to have USDA prime, but I do think a USDA choice, one of my favorite brands of brisket is what's called a certified Angus brisket. Now the real secret for competition brisket, when you're cooking the whole brisket, and you want to turn in the whole brisket, is there's big pockets of fat that separate these two muscles. You can see there's one on this side, and there's another one on this side. So now the trick is to go inside of there and cut that out. One of the ways I know that it's ready to go is when I can push down and I don't feel a lot of resistance. We want to eliminate as much of that fat from the middle so that when the judges see the piece of meat, they've got the meat from the top and the meat from the flat without too much fat in between. Whenever we're ready to turn this in, when we go to cut this, we don't have to do any outside trimming of the product and destroy any of the look we're going to get. I don't want to do much more trimming to that for competition. And that one's pretty much ready to be seasoned. The fire's burned down to pretty much just ashes, so now we're going to go and close up the cooker and go ahead and let the cooker start to generate heat. We're going to be cooking at 225 degrees on this thermometer, and this one over here will end up about 200 degrees.
Another Staney Prize winner, pork shoulder. Staney prefers Boston butt.
In competition, I typically cook bone-in Boston butts. It's one of the easiest cuts of meat to find. Get to know your local butcher or find a good butcher at one of your local grocery stores. When you can, definitely get your meats in cryovac. I choose to leave the bone in mine. There's a little bit of fat cap here. If it was more than, let's say, 3/8 of an inch, I might trim a little bit of it off. This is looks like a broken blood vessel here that, you know, isn't gonna add in. I don't know if it's gonna hurt anything, but it certainly can't add to the flavor of the meat. So we'll just look for stuff like that and cut those out. This one's got a little bit of excess fat right here on the top. These are now ready to be seasoned and go on the smoker here in just a few minutes.
I really think that the spice blends are the most important ingredient to really good barbecue. Barbecue's an art, but you also have to understand the science of applying heat to food or heat to meat to get it to cook. And I think that you have to understand that, cook things at the right temperatures, understand that different rubs, different ingredients in your rubs will react different to different temperatures.
I've had several different rubs we've used in competition, but this one is really a great combination. What we're going to use today is a combination of a couple of commercially produced rubs that we do under the Cowtown label. These are real similar to the old Oklahoma Joe's products that a lot of people, the backyarders and competition cooks did. Those products aren't available anymore, so we came up with Cowtown.
Staney shares his sweet secret to a great rub.
The most important thing is to understand that you need a lot of sugar in your big cuts of meat rubs. People don't understand how much sugar they need to produce really good barbecue. So 2 parts of the salt and sugar, 1 part each, garlic powder, onion powder, chili powder, and paprika. Then you've got to have a blending of peppers. I think blending pepper is a real important part of barbecue. Any rub that we have here at Oklahoma Joe's or anything I've ever used in competition has black pepper, red pepper, or cayenne pepper, and white pepper in it. All 3 have distinct characteristics and need to be used. But you're not going to use them in too big a quantity, so only maybe a quarter of a part of each one of the peppers. That's a real good basic rub right there. Add a little bit of some type of a powdered citrus, like a lemon peel, to your brisket rub. Add cumin or sage to the pork rub.
Now it's time to season the product, and one of the things that I like to use is any type of a spray release type of product, because what it's going to do is it's going to help that rub stick to my product. And make sure it's extra heavy on the top side, because when we put the pork butts on, they're going to be this way. They're going to be this same fat side up, and we're not ever going to turn them or rotate them or anything in the cooker. We're going to season the briskets the exact same way we do the pork butts, and we're going to use the same rub. Real important to get all the edges on the brisket, because that rub's going to help seal it up. When the heat hits it, the rub's going to help seal it and keep a lot of the juice and moisture in. Now the briskets are a little different from the pork. We're going to cook those, and at about the 6 or 7 hour mark, we are going to flip the briskets upside down. We are going to cook the briskets fat side up, or the point side up. We've got the flat here, so this is going to be the bottom side. We're going to start them with the fat side up, and then in a cook-off time, it's usually right around midnight. By the time I'm thinking about going to bed, we'll usually take and baste or spray the briskets